Today's episode is brought to you by the Local Palette Cookbook Club.
How do you become a cookbook photographer? To get the answers, we decided to reach out to a person who has experience shooting 50 books and counting. Welcome to Everything Cookbooks, the podcast for writers, readers, and cooks. I'm Kate Leahy, and today I'm here with Kristin Donnelly. Hey, Kristin.
Hey, Kate.
So today we're digging into meaty matters of cookbook photo shoots because it seems like a successful shoot has the power to make or break a book these days.
Totally.
So I kind of want to just ask, did you ever in your life to think, oh, you know what? I really want to branch out into food photography?
Yes.
Yeah?
Especially when I flirted with the idea of being like a food blogger.
Oh.
And it just felt like you had to do your own photography. Maybe not to the level of like professional for print, but good enough food photography. So I flirted with it, but to be honest, I never have like caught the bug. It actually makes me appreciate the work that food photographers and food stylists do that much more because I find it extremely challenging to do it well. How about you?
Same. I've never wanted to be a food photographer. I think for me, I just think back, like I messed around with a Canon Rebel in the 90s and I took lots of pictures of like moody photos of rust on like cars or something. And I was like, ooh, I'm so artistic.
We all had that phase, right?
Yeah. But like when I look back, I didn't have the inclination or patience to really understand aperture and light and all the technical information you really have to master to be able to control your camera. And I think because of that, it was sort of like, it just makes me appreciate people who can do it really well.
Agree.
I appreciate good photography. I don't have the aspiration to do it myself.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're actually talking to a food photographer and a very successful cookbook photographer today.
Yes. Eva Kolenko is a Bay Area based photographer. She and I have like met at certain things, but I've unfortunately never worked on a book with her. But someday I hope it happens because she shot 50 cookbooks so far and counting. But not only that, she's built a studio in the North Bay of the Bay Area. And looking at her Instagram, this just looks like a gorgeous place to hang out. She just has good aesthetic. She's done small books. She did Janet Fletcher's single subject book on yogurt, say like a decade ago. But she's also shot some of like the biggest celebrities. She did Shaq's cookbook. She did Jesse Tyler Ferguson. She shot Aisha Curry. And she was also the photographer for Caroline Chambers' book. We had Caroline on, I think it was last fall, to talk about her book, What to Cook When You Don't Feel Like Cooking. The list goes on.
Yeah, she can tell us a thing or two.
Absolutely. So let's bring her on. Welcome to Everything Cookbooks, Eva.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here and how much I value your podcast. You know, as a photographer, I see kind of like a good portion of what happens to make a cookbook, but you have provided me with so much more in-depth information, which gives me a deeper knowledge that I can pass along and kind of add more value to my clients. So really appreciate it.
Wow.
Thank you so much. That's really nice to hear.
That is, it's really interesting because now you're going to do the reverse for us because we're going to pick your brain about the things that, you know, maybe more cookbook readers and cookbook writers need to understand about what goes into the production of a great cookbook shoot. But first, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your studio because on Instagram, you are always posting the most like fantastic videos and photos of your studio space.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about the space you work.
Yeah, well, my studio's in Petaluma, and I actually just recently moved. I mean, it functions the same. I mean, I built a space that is really specifically catered to food photography specifically, because that is the majority of my work now. We just have all the bells and whistles to make everybody comfy, cozy. You know, the food stylist is very well set up with enough space to work comfortably for 2 or 3 people to be in the kitchen. All the basic tools are there. All the props. I have a huge prop collection now that's kind of insanity. Obviously photo equipment and, you know, things like that.
Do you use it exclusively as a photographer or do you ever rent it out to others?
My old studio I rented. My current studio, really, I'm building out just for me. I mean, not to say I won't rent it for other people. You know, photographer friends are welcome to come use it and stuff, but it's a little bit of a different setup than I had before.
Got it.
Much more niched out now. I've honed kind of like what I'm really doing as a photographer. And so I'm very specifically have built a space to cater just to that.
That's really fascinating.
I think we'll need to dig into that a bit.
Definitely. So let's actually go into the Wayback Machine. I want to hear how you found that time and space to sort of like hone where you wanted to go and what you wanted to be as a food photographer. Tell us just about, how did you get your start?
I knew I wanted to be an artist always and forever since I was like a baby, I think. It was just in my DNA. My struggle was more like picking which art. My path was really wandery. It was definitely all within the art field, but I left high school early, was 16. I tested out because I just wasn't feeling I was getting, enough options in high school. I was like bored. So I went to community college and just took every kind of art class I could get my hands on. I took theater, dance, ceramics, painting. I embarrassingly wanted to be a clown at one point and run away with the circus. So I went to circus school for a minute.
No way.
Yes way. That's actually still a little bit of a regret that I never did that because every time I go to the circus, I cry.
Aww.
But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
that's like a side story. But yeah, basically just tried everything, which honestly didn't really help me. I just kept finding more and more things that I loved. I've always been very ambitious. So I was like really eager to find the thing that I would do for the rest of my life. So I was like actively pursuing whatever that was going to be. And I wasn't finding it by just keeping, trying more and more things. So I took a step back. Taking the space to just kind of like not do anything was actually how I found photography was my thing. I took a semester off. I just let myself kind of live as an artist without any kind of goal. That's when I just started missing photography above like all the other things I had tried. So it was kind of one of those, space makes the heart grow fonder kind of moments. And that's really how I found my thing.
Right. So just a question on that. So when you were, say, taking classes, you took, say, photography classes, you took ceramic classes, you took all these classes and you loved the act of learning. But then it was like taking a break from that and trying to absorb what you actively just missed doing. It ended up being photography. Was it from a class that you took that you felt sort of drawn to it?
I think it was always in the background. My grandfather was a hobbyist photographer, and I got my hands on like my first real, fully manual vintage camera when I was 10.
Wow.
And he taught me everything. He taught me all the basics of photography. So I kind of already had that in me. And I do think it really is in my DNA. Like his father was a photographer also. So it's just kind of crazy the way the universe works. But yeah, I think it was in there. And then when I took the black and white class, I was pretty enthralled with the process.
So how did you go from that realization to basically starting to get paid?
Oh, okay. So it took a long time. I went to school officially, like I went to art school. I pushed all my chips in, to photography. I was like, This is the thing. I relentlessly pursued that goal. My entire life, but, went to art school. So took a very traditional path in terms of learning. I went to the Academy of Art in San Francisco, ate everything up. I took advantage of every opportunity that was there, every tool, every teacher. I just had no social life and I went all in, which ended up paying off. I think before I had graduated, I had made some really strong connections with some of my instructors and they connected me with a rep. I ended up signing with a rep before I was even graduated.
Oh, wow. And was that for commercial photography or?
Yeah, I got my degree in advertising photography. And yeah, I guess back to your original question, was it always food? No, it was not. I spent the first 10 years of my career shooting more conceptual portraiture stuff. So that's what I was doing when I got signed by my rep. And I was shooting more like ad campaigns and conceptual editorial, but it was all people focused.
Oh, so interesting.
Wow. So it wasn't one of those things where you apprenticed for a photographer and then learned sort of the ropes and branched out on your own. Is that something that happens in photography?
That definitely happens. And I think that's a great path to take. I went the school route, but that doesn't mean I also didn't assist. So when I graduated, it basically took me 8 years. Like I had to keep day jobs, like full-time day jobs. It took me like 8 years to actually make a living just doing my own photography. So I worked as a barista and I assisted other photographers. I eventually landed at a retouching house and worked there for 6 years.
Wow.
thankfully was kind of just like able to pursue my career on the side. Like I spent the weekends, developing my portfolio and organizing test shoots with other creatives, always building my book. And then I would take time off when I landed a job through my rep. So yeah, it was a lot.
It's a hustle.
It's a hustle. I love hearing that though, because, writers, it's the same thing. Most writers have to have a full-time gig, and then writing's the side hustle.
Yeah.
For somebody to get, say, a book deal, I'm going to write a cookbook, and for them to quit their day job, like for most people, I would highly advise against that.
Totally.
But it is true. Like you kind of have to build up the chops in order to establish yourself, and it takes time. So it's good to hear like you were not somebody who like, oh, I really like photography. I'm going to build a studio and I'm going to do all these fabulous shoots. Like this was
Oh God, no. No. I mean, it took me, 8 years to launch into what is now my well-established food career. And that is a little bit of an interesting side story. I was working full-time. I got laid off and pregnant at the same time. And kind of the same thing happened to me when I was younger and like trying to choose what kind of art was I going to pursue. At this moment in my life, I was like kind of falling out of love with shooting people. It just wasn't like hitting, like what the dots weren't connecting. And I was like, what is going on? Why can't I get this thing launched? And I think at that point, I just like gave myself a little space and a little grace. And I was like reevaluating what I really loved as a human being. And then food, I was like, I love food. And I had gotten really bad advice from somebody a long time ago saying, don't make something you really love your career. Like food. She's like, if you start shooting food, you're not going to love cooking anymore. You're not going to love this. You're just going to. And I was like, ooh, that's too risky. I don't want to love food forever. So I didn't. But eventually I ignored that advice and kind of took a huge step back and started shooting for food blogs and food magazines, essentially for free, completely for free, just to start building out a portfolio of work that was food. That is when everything snowballed. I think the universe was like, oh, you found the thing within the thing. We're going to connect all the dots for you. Stars aligned. I was shooting for free for basically 6 months. And then Ashley Lima found my work.
Wow.
She was working at Weldon Owen at the time as an art director and just kind of took a chance and gave me my first cookbook. And I was like, what? This is crazy.
Wow. That's great.
Where did she find the work?
It was in the World on one of those like free lifestyle magazines that I was shooting recipes for. So yeah, that like doing free work, which sounds insane, like actually ended up changing my life.
Yeah.
I remember it must have been probably a decade ago now, but you did this really beautiful book for 10 Speed on yogurt with Janet Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So
and I was
beautiful.
just like, wow, this is a beautiful book. It was a great like single subject book, but I could kind of see like, oh, who's this Eva Kolenko? Like she's going places. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I had seen your name before. And then all of a sudden, like after that book hit, I think I saw your name on so many books. So what year was the turning point for you?
Whatever 2025 minus 12 is.
Like it. Which is probably when that yogurt book came out, I think, around there.
The yogurt book was probably my fourth or fifth book. So yeah, that was definitely in the early days. I did a handful of books with Weldon Owen for Williams-Sonoma, those like single subject kind of style books. And then I did the yogurt book and the chili cookbook. And I don't know what after that, but now we're 50 cookbooks deep. And wow, I don't know how that happened.
Did you work with your rep the whole time?
He definitely helped with the contracts and stuff like that, for sure. Yeah. I learned how to build an estimate and do all that stuff, behind the scenes stuff that you need to know how to do from him. He retired 3 years ago, so we're no longer. But yeah, up until then, he was helping with all my cookbook stuff.
And now you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you know how to do your own contracts, you're not using a rep anymore.
Correct.
Is there anything that you wish you'd known back then?
For sure. I mean, I think in general, it's just so important to think about what your day-to-day work is going to actually be. And does that align with the lifestyle that you want to live? For me specifically, I get this like tunnel vision. I see something I want and I just like go for it and kind of ignore a lot of the signs or red flags. Like when I was shooting people, these conceptual people things, I was like spending 12 hours at my computer, doing this crazy compositing and editing and stuff. And I'm just like, that's where I fell out of love with it. I was like, I didn't sign up for doing photography to sit in front of my computer, so when you're choosing kind of like your end goal, think about where you are in the world when you're doing the work, who you're surrounded by. Are those your people? Is that where you're going to have the most fun? That's what I wish I thought about earlier.
Man, I wish I had thought about that earlier. And I wish I had you to tell me to think about that earlier.
I mean, our experience here, like in every moment, that's like what our life is made out of. If you're not enjoying the moments, like what else are we doing?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So 50 books in however many years, 12-ish years. So it's like about 4+ books a year. How does that work? A lot of photographers who want to shoot cookbooks, I feel like they often do like one a year, one every 2 years. For you, I guess is a lot of that like coming in from the publishers, and are you in a groove with them?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at this point, and I would say it's ramped up over the years. I mean, the average is pretty right on. This year, I shot 6 cookbooks.
Wow.
Got it.
So I was shooting pretty much from after New Year's all the way until my kid was out of school in mid-June, literally every day. And I had advertising work and like I don't just shoot cookbooks. Right. I mean, even though they are my favorite, don't tell anybody else. It's definitely a lot. Cookbooks are a marathon. Their majority of them are 2-week shoots now because a picture for every recipe, right? I mean, maybe it sounds crazy to you guys to do 4 a year, but I'm not. I'm really just doing the photography. So there is some pre-production and a lot of planning, and there's organizing of shot lists and all these fun things that actually I do want to dive into kind of the nitty-gritty about the actual mechanics of it all. But I'm not writing the recipes. I'm not testing the recipes. You guys are doing all that work ahead of time. So yes, you're 2 years in, but I just come for the like frosting on top, basically.
The most fun part.
That's what I always say, the most fun part.
It kind of is. As you've sort of honed into the cookbook world, you do also have a very specific aesthetic now. How important is it to have a consistent aesthetic? Do you have to shift the aesthetic depending on the subject?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I don't think I can help seeing the world the way I see it. And I have a level of perfectionism and pretty high bar for quality. I have gone through a lot of iterations and trends change in terms of what's popular. I mean, and I've been around long enough to see kind of that evolve, lighting styles and people, the way things are styled, all the things, So I really think a huge part of my job is like listening to the author. What is their vision? If they don't have a mood board, because some of them aren't as visual, we talk in words, and I start visualizing how to translate their dream cookbook in a physical photo form. And that can be soft light, could be hard light, could be lots of color, could be very muted tones. Like there's a lot of different styles and approaches, and I'm game for all of it. I'm on set to facilitate their dream, not to force like my vision or agenda.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a service that you're providing to a client, so that makes sense. But then I feel like there's also a reason that they're hiring you perhaps rather than somebody else, and not just because your expertise, but because you are bringing, whether it is that like certain level of quality or, as you said, a way of seeing the world.
Yeah, I bring as much of me into the picture as kind of needed. I think some authors have a very distinct list of things they like and don't like, and I take a little bit more of a backseat when there's a really strong creative. Like I just make sure that I'm obviously bringing all the tools of my trade and my expertise and my eye to it, but like I take a little bit more of a backseat in terms of like creative. And then there's other projects where I'm like, it's all me, and I'm actually doing the art direction, and I'm like coming up with the shot lists and coming up with a lighting scheme and really directing the prop team and all this stuff. So it can like really run the gamut.
One of the things I think for people who work in words, we're not the best at describing visuals. We're not the best at sort of articulating things we like or don't like. We might not be the best at explaining what we want a book to look and feel like. Are there certain things that you wish more authors would do to just help photographers get a better sense of like the visual storytelling that will go along with their words?
Yeah. Most authors now come to the table with some kind of visuals out in the world, and that helps me understand them, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Substack or YouTube or whatever. Like there is an aesthetic. You can tell what that is. Not to say the book is going to look exactly like that, but you get a sense for what they're like. And then I always think it's really helpful if I could get kind of like a mini stack of their favorite cookbooks in terms of what they're envisioning for themselves. And then a mood board is super helpful. Sometimes that comes from the author. A lot of times that will come from the publisher. If they're like, mood board, what?
Right.
I'm like, okay, let me help you out because I'm here for you. And I'll take their words and whatever kind of like they want to download to me and make a mood board. And they can look at it and say, oh my God, yes, this is like even more amazing than I thought. Or, oh, I hate that. And I'll just adjust and we'll go from there.
Right. Sometimes I think authors probably would like send you like two vastly different images and go, I love this. And you're like, oh, what's the middle ground? Like, which one do you really love? Do you really love the hard light? Do you really love the soft light?
Yes.
So then do you just have to drill down and ask more specifics?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that happens all the time. Like they love something, they can't describe why. So then I'll be like, okay, you've picked this lighting style exactly to your point. Like one is a soft light and one is a hard light. There's lots of books that I've shot that have a mix of both, which I actually really love doing. But I have to say, like, look at the shadow next to the bowl. Do you see how deep it is and how crisp the edge is? Now look at this other image. See how that shadow has no defined edge? And they're like, oh, like, oh yeah, okay, now I see it. But like, they weren't looking at that because like, they're not a lighting nerd. They're like looking at the food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I just have to point their attention to the thing that I need an answer to.
That's smart to get that specific because I think somebody who writes recipes knows we can get very nerdy about like, do you say medium onion or do you say like 2 cups like chopped onion and all that? And that for you is like hard shadow. Like, do you see the edge? Like the specific, I love that because I think that also helps somebody who doesn't feel like they have the visual language to explain things. You can just like point out, I need input on the shadows and your reaction to them.
Yeah. I mean, we all come to the table with like a completely different skill set. I'm not expecting any author to arrive on set and understand how a photo shoot works. I mean, that's why I'm here to help guide everybody through that process and really just make sure we're executing their vision and their dream. Even if they don't know how to show me or describe, we hold hands and we walk through the process together.
That's great.
Yeah. Let's get into that a little bit in terms of, what you wish more cookbook authors would know before they get into the photo shoot.
Yeah, cool. I actually made a little bit of a list because I didn't want to forget anything. For sure, I feel like the cookbook photography part like should feel fun. It is for me so fun. I want everybody to experience the fun of it. So I try to do everything like I can to put authors at ease and to make sure they feel like we've really got their back, So you were asking what can they do to make sure everything runs smoothly? I mean, I really think that that's the photographer's job. It's the photographer's job to make sure they're getting all the information they need in a timely manner, all the direction that they need. Like we're the ones responsible for creating the budget, the schedule, the day-to-day, we're executing it. For me, when I think about it, it's really not the author's responsibility for things to run smooth. There is definitely things that would be helpful for them to like plan for ahead of time. So that's actually, and one of the things is plan way ahead. I book out cookbooks like more than a year in advance.
More than
sometimes.
a year. Wow.
Which is amazing because then we all have plenty of time. It doesn't have to be a year. It can be 6 months or whatever. But if you really want your dream team, if you have your eyes set on a particular photographer or a particular food stylist, they're likely busy, like really busy. And you're asking for 2 whole weeks of their time. And then if you have 2 people you want to connect together, like me and somebody else, or like, it's just the more lead time we get, the better in terms of like calendaring it. And then the other big thing is we are spending a lot of time together. Authors should really do their due diligence and get on a Zoom with several photographers and really feel out the vibe and the personalities. We're together a lot. I would just say, obviously the work is important. Like make sure you're hiring somebody that has the right skill set, that has done the type of things that you want to shoot, the kind of style you like or whatever, but like a personality match is important. So yeah, get on the phone, make sure that they're invested in you, in your subject. If they're not passionate on the first phone call and haven't shown that they've done research about you or like know who you are or whatever, if they're not asking questions and they're not engaged, that's like a huge red flag. Because once you're on day 9, it's like, and then after that, it's like another 6 months and then they still have to do the retouching. Like if they don't honestly like really care, then that's not the right match for you. I think the matching of the people is really important. I would say another kind of sticking point is always money, of course. They should be asking for like a detailed estimate. Photography is a really huge and well worth investment. Your book's going to live forever. You should care about what the photography looks like, I hope. But it's a big investment. And I think any photographer should be giving you a very detailed line item estimate so you can see where all your dollars are going.
Can you give us examples of like
like how much is going to the food stylist? How much is going to each assistant?
So obviously the team members getting paid, but then there's lots of other expenses, studio, there's the food costs, there's feeding everybody on set.
prop rental potentially?
Yeah, prop rental for sure.
So it would be like food style assistant, photography assistant, maybe a prop and drop situation, however that's going to be carried out.
Mm-hmm.
And then retouching, that's probably a line item, isn't it?
For me, it's not. I'm sure other people do it differently, but I just kind of include that into my fee. And then I've learned to be very specific in my term language, how many image that is inclusive of. And if you choose 50 extra, like what that costs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I like it to be as simplified as possible, but specific so that there's like no questions. Like it's not just like, oh, this is going to cost you $80,000. And then what?
Right. What's the story with photo budgets right now?
I mean, there's so many millions of ways to make a cookbook. So there's definitely like a tier of author that money is like less of a object. And I've done celebrity cookbooks and stuff. And so there's a lot of approaches, and each approach has a different production value. And therefore the line items are all like different. And then there's other books that are just like, we have $25,000 for the shoot. Does that get us 4 days or 5 days or whatever? And we work backwards. So
you still do those shoots too, if it fits into your schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I love shooting books.
I mean, because you've done some really big celebrities. Can we talk about what a celebrity shoot is like when you bring Shaq on set? What goes into that?
A lot. He's hilarious. So, I mean, each celebrity book is like, oh my gosh, I can't tell you. Every single project is just its own little...
It's like an ecosystem, right?
It really is. It really is. Every production has a totally different like set of needs, which is why every estimate is different. Like I can't just say like a cookbook costs this much amount of money. Like when in terms of like Shaq, we're shooting, in studio for, I want to say it was like 8 days, something there. And then we had to go to Florida because that's where he was, and so then it's like, how do we do that? You can't really hire a local prop stylist. Like those people don't exist where you're going. And I always like to keep teams together because that's kind of really important to me. But then you're traveling the team out and all that stuff. And that's expensive.
And shipping props, right?
Yeah, shipping props can definitely happen for sure. I mean, I really do a lot of visualization before a shoot and like think it all through. And that helps me make sure that anything that could happen, all the needs are covered and we have a line item in there for it. If I'm traveling with my equipment, you will see a line item that says excess baggage and you will know how much that costs. It gets pretty nitty gritty, like you see where every dollar goes. But yeah, Shaq, we had been given 4 hours to photograph him for that portion, his face on the cover. And then I want to say like 7 different setups with recipes. So that was a special beast. We prepped like nobody's business. We were like, I had every single lighting scenario dialed, marked on the floor. Every single recipe was cooked and ready to go. We basically moved through the scenes, with him in front of the camera for like maybe five minutes per, except the cover. We did a little bit longer, but that was like rapid fire, like craziness.
Wow. Yeah. Because 4 hours is probably all he allotted in schedule for this. And you just had to make it work because, he's Shaq.
He's Shaq. He's a busy guy.
Covers are sort of like where the drama happens between the publisher and the author. And like a lot of times there can be like feelings. There's a lot of feelings about covers.
There is a lot.
A lot of opinions. What makes a good cover shoot?
For that specific book, there was very clear direction on what the cover was going to be. So we were just executing. That was a little bit different. That's like not generally how covers work. So I would say usually the way covers work is, the author and the pub team, the editor has picked out, I would say for a 2-week shoot, it's usually like 3 recipes that they know are going to be cover tries. And then when we are shooting them, we shoot them obviously with extra space, and hopefully I have a design layout to shoot to, and I have that on the monitor. So we're designing to it. But we'll shoot like 2 or 3 variations per different surface, try different arrangement of props. I always shoot back plates of everything. So things, I mean, there's always things shifting. We spend a lot more time flushing those 3 recipes out than we do on the other things. I would say more often than not, one of those 3 recipes will make the cover. Every once in a while, there's a wrench thrown in, and then I see something totally different. But I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Do you ever like tell the publisher, I think this might be a great cover?
No, I don't. I know there's a lot of cooks in that kitchen. I stay out of that. I just make all the pictures as good as I can. That's my job.
I like that. I like
Nice.
drawing the line. It's like, okay, my responsibilities are here. Those are somebody else's responsibilities. Yeah.
I mean, I know my slice of the pie like so well. I don't know, like, shrimp is divisive. Okay. Like, it's so pretty though. I mean, you know, I'm like, I don't know. The publishers have more information on what's going to sell when it's on the shelf or like on display.
I just remember, do you remember this conversation? Maybe it was a few years ago about like eggs couldn't be on a cover because like eggs don't sell. I think that happened.
There was like, I remember it being like salads don't sell.
Yeah.
Fish / I guess shrimp too. Don't sell.
Yeah, it's a moving target.
Yep.
It's definitely not something that I'm going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out.
Smart. But I like that idea too, that this is something I think authors should just think about, that if you know that there's like 3 standout dishes that you really want shot in a cover, think those through and think of like ways, maybe look at your comp titles and your books that you want to be compared to on the shelf with and say, okay, these are the recipes that I think will work. I mean, you might end up changing your mind, but as an author, it's nice to think that through because it helps your team out, right? So then it's not like, even you're not having to go like, okay, which are these recipes that we're going to like really think through?
Yeah, going back to like being prepared, that is one of the things. Like I love a spreadsheet. Let's all work off of those. And I now provide like a dummy spreadsheet for authors. If they're like, what do you guys need to know? I'm like, here's a spreadsheet, and enter, we do the shot list, and then any notes about the recipe that the food stylist should know. There's a column for, is this a cover? Is this a double page spread? You know, like all those kinds of details so that, and then if there's like another one that we need to know ahead of time is like, if you want to see a casserole inside the dish it's baked in, the prop stylist needs to know what size it is. The prop stylist is not going to go through the manuscript and read every recipe. Like they have a lot to do, right? So we have a column for like, if there's a pan or a cooking tool or vessel that needs to be actually photographed, we need to know the size of it, all those details. So the cover discussion is definitely something that should happen like ahead of time. And you never know, like you could be surprised and there's a recipe. I want to say like every publisher is like, keep your eyes out for like any standout recipes that are cover contenders. And I'm like, totally, that's great. We'll do that. But we're shooting 8-10 recipes a day. We can't shoot everything like it's a cover.
Sure.
We spend 3 hours on a cover, you know,
right.
Like you start doing that for everything, you're going to get in the weeds like really quick.
Because you need to spend like, $45 an hour to give room for maybe a reshoot or those cover shoots or things like that, I would imagine, to stay up to like 8 or 10 recipes a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a whole team. Like that's what people also need to know, like to do 8 or 10 recipes. The food stylist does not have time to cook all that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like it when an author's on set, or can they be pains in the ass? Is there anything that authors should not do?
I would say I've been really, really fortunate, and I have not worked with anybody that's been a pain in the ass. I think authors get a lot out of being on set. First-time authors, I would say especially. It's very rare that a first-time author will not be on set with me, unless it's Shaq or Giselle or whatever.
Celebrity, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be on set. But yeah, like I said, it's just like a really fun part. It's like where they start to see it really all come together and it starts to look real. And most of them just get so excited. So for me, it's really rewarding to have them around because I'm like, I want to see the light in the eye. I'm making this for them. Like, yeah, it's just kind of the feel good part. So like to have them around, being able to weigh in on certain things. Also, I love a good body part moment. So the author being on set to offer like their hands or a torso, or even when we're shooting Carolyn Chambers' book, we set up a background that was big enough to include her face, and just like a little bit more of that humanity in the book. If it is a personality driven book, I think is really nice. And we can't do that if they're not around. So
yeah.
Ooh, good point. Yeah.
I do just want to go back to this spreadsheet, though. I keep thinking about it because I'm like, what is, I mostly, it's not even a question. I just want to remark on it for listeners because I helped coordinate a photo shoot over the past year, 3 different shoots. And I'm like, that's what I should have been doing. Just like notes for I think I kind of did, but it was a little bit less organized. And so I'm remarking at just how organized you are and what a wonderful service that is that you're providing.
Oh, thanks.
It's not necessarily the norm. So whether you're a photographer listening, this is like a good thing to incorporate, but also for others.
There's just, I mean, if you think about like it's a 2-week shoot, you're shooting 100 recipes or whatever, all the information needs to be in one place. Like we're moving really fast. The prop stylist needs to know what to be prepping next. There's just a lot of different things to consider. So having all that information, the recipe and everything that we need to know about it in one place is just so valuable. And it keeps our heads on straight. We're not looking through emails for like, oh, what did that person say? Like we needed to remember to cut the carrots like this, side note. It's like all that information is in one place. We don't have to like be messing around looking for those weird one-off email requests.
Right.
And that's just like, immensely helpful. We print it out really big on the wall. We check it off. We add more notes as we go. Yeah, it's the best tool.
Absolutely. And that's probably very satisfying to like cross off a recipe when you've shot it. It's like, all right, because then people see progress.
Yes.
Do you then like print out like the thumbnails and like put those on a board? Is that part? Because I think that's really exciting too, seeing them build up.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely super valuable for a lot of reasons. One, it's just satisfying, but there is an actual functionality to it. And that is, I think the publishing house generally is not that involved in terms of figuring out what the photos look like. So it's my job. It's the team's job to make sure the book has good flow. As you're shooting, you print out the images so that when you're shooting something that's next to something, or you're like working within a chapter, you're seeing firsthand what props you used, what colors you used, what camera angle you used, where the light's coming from. So you can see how the book will feel page to page as you're turning it. You're like, okay, this is a macro shot. The next page should not be, because you want that push and pull. If you're flipping through a book, I mean, so many people are visual and just will like, through a book. Right. You want to make sure there's a lot of variety in terms of that flow page to page to keep the interest.
That's a really good point. And something that I've done when I've been on set working as a co-author, I've used that wall to like, oh, I'm going to rearrange the text right now because this recipe looks better if it comes after this recipe. And that's something that I wouldn't be able to do if I wasn't on set. It's also something I wouldn't think of doing any other time. So it's kind of valuable that way. You're really getting a sense, like you're building the book, really.
Yeah. And the author gets to see it come together.
Right. And then it's like, oh no, we have too much pink in this chapter or something like that. Or no, we can't use that spoon again. That spoon is banished.
Exactly. Those are important details.
They are important details.
Or a lot of like overhead circles, which I do just find very hard to avoid.
Yeah. Oh, the dreaded rectangle. I will never. No, not my favorite.
No, those are so hard.
But yeah, you have to make sure your circles are not always just in the middle. Like you gotta play with the circles and where they are and like how close you are to them. And you can always layer things underneath. I mean, there's lots of different ways to approach a photo so that it's not just circle, 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 circle.
Yeah. If I were coming to you and I'm a newbie photographer, I'm just out of school, or maybe I've been assisting nowadays, like what should be my next steps? Like what would you advise? Because I'm sure people email you saying, I want to do what you're doing one day. Yeah. What do you tell them?
Well, I will have to say, pet peeve, don't invite a busy photographer to have a cup of coffee with you. Just don't do it. We're too busy. I'm sorry. Come and offer me a service. Like learn how to use a C-stand, understand how to light, tell me you're good at it and that you're really helpful and you can come to set and provide value. Like that's how you get in the door and that's how you become indispensable to a team. It's not by being a leech and wanting to just like suck out all the information from a team of experts. Like I think I'm happy to share information, but at the same time, you have to kind of like earn the right to it in a way, like come pay dues a little, like show me you're really interested. And then I will open up and start to share. Like with all of us, like we have to provide a service to be valuable. That's just the way the world works. And So yeah, like develop a base set of skills, which you could do probably online or take a really simple basic photography course in lighting. I would say at minimum, I need somebody that's going to come on set and help me needs to like really understand how to use a C-stand. That's like a very basic thing you're going to interact with like a million times a day. If you have a photographer in mind that you want to work for, like ask them what kind of, lighting tools they use, learn those, and then keep reminding me. I'm busy. I know a lot of photographers are busy. Email me once. Cool. But it's all about timing. Even for me, trying to get awarded cookbooks and stuff, it's like you have to hit just before the project is happening. If I get emails and I'm just like, have nothing going on or everybody's already booked and in place, I don't have room right now for another person. But if I'm 2 weeks out from a project and I have a hole, I'm going to say yes. So it's a timing game. So don't just send the one email and expect somebody to remember you forever. Like be persistent. That's how I'm really going to know that you're interested in being on set and like really want to help.
It's like you're talking the C-stand. And I think for learning photography, that's good. But if you just want to get the experience of being on set, there's so much schlepping with food photography. Yeah. So also just like offering to be a schlepper,
the runner, get to know who some of the prop stylists are. Because there's so much like unpacking, reboxing, rewrapping of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think assisting a prop stylist is a good lead in. I also would totally, and probably any photographer would agree, like if you email and just say like, hey, I want to be a studio assistant, like somebody that can float between all the jobs and just be like a helpful, able body that is down to help schlep, run to the grocery store, get another head of lettuce, like who can do lunch pickup, like all those kinds of things, and move a stand around. Like, I actually don't really work with assistants very much on cookbooks anymore, but I do need a second pair of hands sometimes. Yeah, just like a helpful person that's there to be engaged and be of service and be paying attention to the needs and like aware of your surroundings, like reading the room and stuff. That person is always welcome.
Yeah. That's a good point. I love what you said about timing, because I think in this business, a lot of it's timing. I might not be the right person for a book because like the timing doesn't align, or something's fallen through. Maybe the food stylist or the prop stylist assistant is gone, and someone emails you like, could I ever be a floater on set? And you're like, well, actually, do you live locally?
Yes.
So it could like happen, and then you have a relationship, but you can't expect that just from an email. You can try, but it is timing.
No, I mean, that's exactly correct.
This has been such a fun conversation. I feel like we keep going.
Yeah, I think we got through maybe 25% of my list of things I would love authors to know.
Anything on that list that you think we really need to talk about before we wrap up the interview?
Kind of going back to the nerdy spreadsheet conversation, we need recipes about 2 weeks out, like final recipes. And that's really important because I can't stress how complicated the food stylist job is planning or the flow of each day. They have so many metrics to go by. They're like planning the day based on ingredient, based on oven time. Like they don't want to overbook the oven. Is this shrimp? Should we shoot this on day 1 or day 2? Because day 5, that's not going to smell so good. Like there's just like an endless array of metrics that they have to plug together. So they really need time to sit down and organize that. And obviously they'll need time to make the shopping lists, which are like insane documents. So 2 weeks deadline. And then for creative, I always like to get that about a month out, because I think books are more special when we have time to work with the styling team to make custom surfaces and shop vintage markets and kind of really make the book a one-of-a-kind piece of art. I don't just go to one rental house or just use my props, because then everything kind of starts to look homogenous. Like I really want each book to have their own flavor and point of view based on the author's vision and the creative direction. So we do need lead time.
Such a good point. The nice thing is, if you've booked your photo shoot a year out, you have that deadline. Like, where you're going. Like, you have to have things before before that shoot. So it kind of forces your organization too, I think.
It goes back to the fun. I want to have fun. I don't want to be worried on set. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to feel unprepared. Like, everybody creates better work when they can have fun, get into a creative flow state and really collaborate and be there for each other. And we can't do that if we're like running around with our heads cut off or like feeling like we're in the weeds the whole time. Like that takes you into fight or flight state of mind, which isn't where we're creative.
Yeah.
I really want authors to feel like they have a voice, that they have their full right to express their opinions on set. The show is for them. Like, we're doing everything for them. If they're unhappy with something, like, please let us know. We're professional people. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You know, like if you don't like a picture, it's going to make me more upset than like hearing that you don't like it for whatever reason. Because I can fix it. I have all the tools. We have all the people and all the tools on set to make it what you want. So step up.
Right.
Yeah, that's an important, to make the whole room feel like a comfortable place for everybody to bring their opinions and voices and creativity. That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. It takes, I think, trust in the team to know that if you say you're not happy with something, people aren't going to get mad at you or think, oh, now everyone's going to be like upset because I'm making you do this roast chicken over or something. But just like, you know, be objective about it. It doesn't have to be this emotional thing. There's a lot of feelings when someone starts seeing their book come to life. It might just be an overwhelming feeling. I could see, because I think sometimes like you can see one image one day and go like, oh, that's not my book. And then the next day as an author, you can go see it and you're like, oh my God, it's so much better than what I thought it was going to be. So you can have all these emotions in like a span of 24 hours.
Totally. I know authors have been working like a lifetime to get to this point. So I just want to make sure that it is the book of their dreams. And to do that, you have to be willing to use your voice, advocate for yourself.
You're often building the team, like in terms of the food stylist.
It kind of depends. Every once in a while, somebody will come to the table and have like a specific person in mind. But usually I'm kind of calling the team. And I love that part. I'm like, ooh, who would be a good personality fit? Who has this skill set or whatever. And then I usually present a few options. Depends on the project, but I like authors to feel like they're involved in some of those choices.
Yeah.
To wrap up our conversation, tell us what you're working on now. Do you have a newsletter in the works?
Yeah, I do. I'm starting a newsletter. I have a couple posts up now. I'm sure by the time this airs, there'll be more. I mean, like I said, I'm 50 cookbooks deep in this career. And at this point, nothing surprises me anymore. And I really have like this crazy huge wealth of information that I'm excited to pass along so that people can come, if it's an author, like they can get some insight and come to set with like a little deeper understanding of the process and they're not shocked or surprised, or if they are, it's the good kind. And then, a lot more tools and information for photographers that want to break into the field, or food bloggers if they're looking to develop their sense of style in terms of imagery, and then, you know, lighting skills and like the more technical things too, I'm hoping to dive into. But just kind of an all-encompassing behind the scenes of the food studio with everything you could think that would come with it.
That's great.
I love that. What's it called?
It is called Inside the Food Studio.
This has been such a delightful conversation, Eva. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, good.
And sharing your knowledge. Just even mentioning that spreadsheet, anyone who's about to go into a photo shoot or is planning the next 5 years to do a photo shoot, like just think of those columns.
Yeah, I think maybe what I'll do just to have a helpful tool for everybody is in one of my upcoming newsletters, maybe I'll drop a sample spreadsheet so y'all can just see what we put in there.
Love it. On that note, people will be able to find a link to subscribe to your newsletter in the show notes. And we will also have this on our Substack. So if you read our Substack, you'll also get a link to Eva's newsletter so you can find it there. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thanks, Eva.
It's really been my pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for listening to Everything Cookbooks. For more about each episode, subscribe to our newsletter at everythingcookbooks.substack.com. Here are more ways to support the show. Go to everythingcookbooks.com and check out our totes, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and other merch. You can buy us a round of coffee there. You can also leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Thanks, as always, to our editor, Abby Cirquitella. And until next time, keep on writing, reading, and cooking.